Okay. So, how to learn vocabulary. Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. I decided. Oh, let me play some music just to start before people are joining in. Whoa, it's busy. Good. All right. There's enough of you that joined so quickly. Thank you. Another impromptu live. I hope you can hear me well. The sound is okay. So I get this question, I think every live that I do, no matter what the topic is, no matter what I originally planned to talk about, somehow someone always asks, how do I learn words? How do I learn vocabulary? And I just decided, let me do a live on that, specifically. And I don't want it to be just me speaking, all right? I'm happy to share my knowledge because I am a language learner. I've recently put a bit of more effort on improving my French, filling all the gaps and finally reaching sort of, maybe not super fluent, but like a more fluent level. And so I'm happy to share with you my experience of me as a learner, of me as a teacher, as to what does or doesn't work for my students. But I'm very happy to hear from you guys as well, your experience, your tips, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Let me know in the comments. I'm very happy to know what you think. So Valeria's already commented, my very active follower. I try to speak as much as possible. So I guess you try to put the words into practice, right? And that's something that I always push my students to do. So if we learn new vocabulary, I go, don't just translate it and leave it in a notebook or whatever. When you come to the next class, try to use these words. Have a list in front of you and use these words with me. Try to make some sentences. We don't have to have always natural communication, which is great, but if you can stick it in there. But sometimes just come up with some things that you might talk about. Or imagine where. So that's another thing. Imagine where you might want to use this vocabulary. And guys, another reason why I decided to do this live is because I'm writing an article, a blog, about how to learn vocabulary, and I'm not using like simple basic tips you can find everywhere. I'm really trying to share my experience, my knowledge. And the big thing is the emotional connection. That's a big factor when it comes to learning and remembering things. I mean, think about it. What are the things that you remember from when you were, I don't know how old you are now, but say when you were 15, when you were 10, when you were 5, is the things that were emotional, when you felt strong emotions, positive or negative, right? So if you can make an emotional connection to a new word or a new phrase, imagine where you might use it, in what situation, talking about what. When the time comes to actually using this word or phrase, it will come to you emotionally, immediately, okay? That emotional memory isn't always super fast because that sounds like a lot of work, right? You have to put in an effort to do that. But, it's some things take time and more effort. Just because it's longer doesn't mean it's not effective. Especially for more difficult words, because there are some words and expressions that just stick with us. I think especially idioms. I don't know why, but we as learners, we learn idioms very fast. Maybe not always perfectly, but for some reason they just stick in our mind. Maybe because we feel emotionally connected to them rather than just simple words. All right, so try to build that emotional connection. Yeah, sometimes it will come naturally. Sometimes you have to force it a little bit, create it a little bit, make an effort for that to happen. Okay, guys, I'm not going live with you, but you're welcome to type your stuff in the comments, your thoughts, your ideas, your maybe questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And another thing, I'm going now to be uploading or trying to upload lives onto YouTube. Okay, so that hopefully will help you because you can revisit it and see the subtitles. Okay, because seeing subtitles sometimes can be extremely helpful to understand, right? To improve your listening skills. Okay, so any other thoughts on vocabulary learning? So Valerie tries to study with fun. That's a great way. I think fun is great. Emotional connection, yes. Context. Puyan says, fluster. If you want to know what fluster means, go to Google and look it up. Why are you asking me? If you have a more specific question in the context, I think you can ask it like that, yeah? But if you're just asking me for a word definition, I mean, come on, that's what Google is for. That's what it's good for. That's what you should use it for, yeah? Definition or meaning, type that next to a word you're trying to find out what it means, and that's what you should do. Another thing is, yes, should we always translate into our original language, or should we always use meaning or definition? What do you think, guys? Can you type in your thoughts? Should we always translate into our native language, or should we always look at meaning or definition in the English language? So learning English in English. What do you think? I'm very curious to know. What do you think? Hi, Lila. Welcome. Sajad always learns vocabulary in the sentences. Fantastic. That's good. That's a great way. Also be aware that some words might, or some phrases might, well, not phrases, some words might mean one thing in one sentence and another thing in another sentence. So I think the dangers there sometimes also, like for example, some of my students, they understand what the word means from the context. But then I go, but do you actually know where else you can use it and specifically what it means? And they're not always sure. And I say, okay, so it might be worth checking out the meaning or definition, not just looking at the specific sentence you are seeing, but go beyond that, because you will challenge your understanding of that word. Do you truly understand what it means? And that is especially true for phrasal verbs, okay? So, okay, I got some answers. Stopped translating. English in English. Translating to original language wouldn't help a lot. Translating misleads you. Define the word. Okay. I was a bit chicken. I said always. Always did this and always did that. Guys, it depends. All right. Yes, learning English in English can be helpful because you start to think in English. Again, it depends. What level do you have? Are you a confident user already, or does it mean that by trying to understand English in English, you will just confuse yourself even more? If you are roughly intermediate, I would say it's good to do a combination of both, especially when you are, for more difficult words. I don't think it's terrible to translate sometimes. For example, I have some phrasal verbs, right? And I try to explain them to, for example, my Russian speaking student. And I explain, and then I go like, okay, I'm just going to look up in a dictionary what the translation is, and I tell them the translation. And they're like, okay, now it makes sense. I was kind of understanding around roughly what you mean, but when you give me the exact translation, I had an emotional connection to that word. I know exactly what you're trying to say. So guys, it depends. Sometimes you need to mix the two. All right. I know everyone says stop translating 100%. I disagree. I think you need to use your brain, your intuition, and adapt to the situation. There is no definite right or wrong there. Of course, it's wrong to only translate. That definitely is true. Only translation, no. A mixture, a combination, using your logic, your mind, make an assessed, conclusion as to what you should do. Yeah, so there is no definite answer. But thank you all for your comments. Start introducing how to paraphrasing synonyms. Yeah, paraphrasing is great. It's not necessarily maybe for words, but it's more for using the words that you know and just improving your fluency speaking. Synonyms, yes, actually, let's cover synonyms. That's a really good topic. Instagram, I think YouTube is littered with teachers bombarding you with tons of synonyms, tons of alternative words and phrases you can use. Do not learn those blindly. Oh my God, the amount of times I saw like someone, I can't remember the example off the top of my head, but it was just like this word and this is the alternative word, okay? Sorry, I'm just swiping because I keep getting message notifications which are distracting me. It doesn't always work. Just because it's a synonym in the thesaurus dictionary doesn't mean you can apply it to the same situation or use it in every single situation. You've got to be careful with it. One of the good tests that I can recommend to you is if you find a synonym, you like how it sounds for some reason, and you go, oh, I'm going to stick this synonym with this noun, and I'm going to put them together. For example, it's an adjective, right? So I'm going to put it together, and I think it sounds great, and I got it from a dictionary, it's a synonym. It's going to work, right? It's going to work. Sometimes I do that with French, for example. I'm like, it's going to work. Not always. So a good test, if you came up with a phrase, right? Type it in Google. See what comes up. If it's nonsense, what you came up with, if it doesn't exist, you will get alternative phrases or you'll get something else. You might get something that actually exists. If nothing's coming up in Google for the phrase you created, it means it's no good. If it comes up, bingo, fantastic. So that's another test that I recommend to my students. Okay, and let me just look at some of your comments. I got carried away with speaking. I'm ignoring comments about my personal life and all of that because it's not relevant. Sorry, guys. Private lessons, yes, indeed, I do teach private lessons. Drop me a DM and I'll send you a link where you can book a lesson with me if you are interested. Sometimes you need to translate but just one particular word. Exactly. Don't feel bad for doing that. That's what I was getting at. You shouldn't just go, oh my God, I'm failing as an English learner. I'm terrible. I'm doing what they told me not to do. I'm cheating. Some people feel they are cheating. They're doing the wrong thing. No, it's okay. If you feel the need to really translate into your native language, but combine it. Combine it with definition, English in English or meaning, as well as translation. Bring it all together. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, cool. So people want to get good jobs in English-speaking countries. Okay. I don't know. My smart watch is not so smart these days. It just goes off with alarm whenever it feels like it. Big, enormous, huge. Yeah. It's good to use adjectives. So synonyms, guys. Synonyms are good, but don't overdo it as well. There's nothing wrong with using simple words sometimes. You don't always need to have super crazy C1, C2 types of words. My cat's come in and I think it's gonna knock over my camera. I know for IELTS people say for the exams you need to have more advanced language, but guys, if you are learning English for communication and you go too crazy with C1, C2 level words and yet your grammar, I'm sorry to go back to grammar again and again, but if your grammar has holes in intermediate level and you lack in basic communication skills with proper structures, it sounds ridiculous. I'm sorry. It does. It doesn't sound right when you have when you put in an effort for fancy words. And then, you're focusing on idioms, C1, C2 level words or expressions, and you've ignored the basic fundamental structure. It's like putting Monet paintings all over your house and the base is broken. The base of your house is not there. The house is a bit shaky. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. Yeah. So just to make you aware of that, that was also another point I wanted to cover. Sometimes my brain is fried. Yeah, guys, you have to understand that you need to find, that's a good point, right? It's about timing as well. You need to find the time of the day or the time of the week when you feel your brain is able to absorb something. Because if you're brain dead, if your brain is fried, as Valerie said, nice expression by the way, you're just staring at that list and oh my God, like it's staring back at you and there's nothing happening there. It's not going anywhere, right? So you need to find the time that works for you. People say do it before bedtime or do it first thing in the morning or do it when you are in the queue in a supermarket. find what works for you. There is no one way, it's your way, right? It depends on your lifestyle, it depends on your personality, it depends, you know, I'm terrible in the morning, I'm great at learning in bed at night because my brain works very well, too well sometimes, before going to bed. You need to figure out what kind of person you are, what's your lifestyle, and when your brain can absorb the vocabulary the best. All right? So that's also an important point. Thank you for bringing it up. So Priyanto, listening to natives. Yeah, natives and non-natives. Lots of non-natives have fantastic English. Guys, stop saying only natives. Let's break that myth. I'm a non-native. I'm native level. I grew up in the UK. But I'm still not like monolingual native, but I admire people who haven't necessarily grown up in the English speaking country and acquired fluency, and there are more and more of those people. So let's applaud them and understand that they could have fantastic English as well. Honestly, let's not do this. Don't do this. All right, I'm doing well, guys. Thank you. How to improve pronunciation is a different class. Private class, yeah, drop me a DM, Layla, and I'll send you a link. Yeah, and you can check it out and we can take it from there. Shouldn't compare English skills with other students. Yeah, comparison isn't great. I mean, sometimes it's good because if you're lazy and you see someone else working hard, it can motivate you. You can go, maybe I should start studying too. Yeah. Competition isn't always terrible as long as it's healthy and you don't overdo it. It doesn't drive you crazy. Different abilities, absolutely. Speak slower. I'm sorry, teaching English page. You're a teacher. But okay, different teachers, different levels. I understand. I'm going to try and upload, I will upload this to YouTube, which will have automatic subtitles, and you can change the speed of the video. That's a good thing about YouTube. You can adapt it. If I'm speaking too slowly for you, speed it up. If I'm speaking too fast, slow it down. You are the master. I hope that helps. Okay, but try to practice you speak too quickly. Okay, maybe you need to improve your listening skills. Yeah, but maybe I do. Valeria speaks better in the morning. Great. Hello from Brazil. Hello, hello. I stop shy. You stop being shy from speaking in public. Fantastic. I understand you very clearly. Great. Thank you, Valerie. I'm not going to stay for too long today, so I wanted to make sure. Yeah, so you have to be selective with vocabulary. As I said, don't learn C1, C2 level words. Some of them are okay. But if you learn too many C1, C2 level words without addressing your grammar, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, guys. So another thing is, don't just try and learn pointless, endless lists of words. Don't try to learn all the synonyms for one word. Another thing you shouldn't be doing. Don't try to learn words which are low frequency. So you have to focus on high frequency versus low frequency. Layla, sorry, can you DM me and not message here about my private classes, please? Yeah, we're focusing on vocabulary today. All right, thank you. So yeah, don't try, I think the tendency of learners sometimes is to learn a word that's super complex, super difficult. It looks long, it looks amazing, it attracts the learners. Complex isn't always the best for communication. Difficult or high level isn't always the perfect word for the context. Sometimes simple words are the best, yeah. And low frequency words, don't waste your time on them. If you are intermediate level, upper intermediate, focus on high frequency words, which you come across in reading and listening, which you need to know maybe for passing an exam. But don't give too much energy and time for the less common words. At least until you reach a sort of C1, C2 level, and then of course, you can do whatever you want. It's up to you what words you want to use, yeah? But you need to get there, you need to reach that level. You need to address the intermediate and upper intermediate level stuff, including grammar, not just vocabulary, okay? So what I was going to say, yeah, so another thing is very interesting about vocabulary and grammar. Once you learn a new word, you kind of start seeing it everywhere. I don't know if you noticed this, guys. You can tell me if you agree or disagree. But yeah, we have, our speeches have lots of common words. Exactly. Some things are repeated again and again. And that's why when people watch series or series, I go, do you only watch one type of series? Because the type of vocabulary is specific to that genre, to that, you know, whatever class or background the actors have, the characters have. You know, for example, I watched the morning show recently, and it was the news and journalist type of jargon and words, and specifically to, you know, work and all of that, you know, some other words as well. So watch a variety of things, watch different clips, listen to different podcasts, expose yourself to a variety of language, okay? Because, you know, same author of the book will tend to repeat the same words. More or less, yeah. What was I saying? Learn unusual words, list of words, translations. Yeah, so you start, once you learn a word, suddenly you start hearing it and seeing it if you're reading. It's amazing how that happens, so pay attention to that. Yeah, you've learned a word, see how it's used in real life. Very, very useful. And I think that's about it. I'm still writing the blog. Is there anything else? Are there any other tips or any other things that you can recommend? So in terms of where to write the words, some people use a notebook, and that's fine. I recommend using Anki, because Anki is free for non-iPhone users or Apple users. And it's a great tool, and it avoids you repeating the words which are easy, but it helps you to learn the words which are difficult. No, I'm not Indian. Oh my God. Guys, if you enjoy my life, have the decency to go to my profile and check it out, okay? It's very rude when you do that. But if I look Indian, that's great. Indian women are very beautiful. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not offended by that. Okay. Movies with originals, you mean the original voice. Yeah, that helps as well. Okay, cool. I think lots of people have left. Maybe they don't want to listen to me babble on. I think I've covered a lot of topics, a lot of points, a lot of aspects of vocabulary learning. So in the future, if anyone asks me this question again, I can just refer to this live and give them the link to my YouTube. If you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do. I'll be trying to post more and more stuff, including lives from Instagram. So thank you all so much for joining, for contributing, for talking to me today, for listening to me. And I hope you learned something new, something useful that you can apply and help you learn English vocabulary better. All right, have a fantastic Saturday or rest of the Saturday. Bye.